Hey folks, walk with me. I was thinking about how even more chaotic seeming and, I don't know, depressing doesn't seem like the right word, but just sort of like aggressive maybe, and nasty, yeah, those are the right words, that social media feels these days. I feel like 5 years ago, or shoot, maybe even 10 years ago at this point, people were like, I don't know about this stuff. This is getting a little bit like not good for the human condition. And I feel like that has just ramped and amped up excessively strongly in the last couple of years. And it feels like it's at a peak right now. At least, like I say, with this sense of just attacking nonstop, spreading like falsehoods and just sort of like, or at least very questionable information, and just, you know, saying it very confidently. And I was reading a book by Thich Nhat Hanh, which I would really recommend. It's very short. I think he may have a lot of books that are fairly short, but this one was kind of hard to find, but I got it sent to my local library from a different library. And it's called Present Moment, Wonderful Moment. And he talks about this book that he had read when he was a novice monk in training in Vietnam. And I think he said that the author was Chinese, and that the whole book were these like very practical, essentially like mantras, like mindfulness, you know, little snippets of language around doing just daily things. So like waking up in the morning, washing your face, doing the dishes, cleaning your clothes, you know, like anything that you would do that you could just sort of like really easily lose your mindfulness. It was in this book. And he said that the monks would focus on spending all day, so no matter what they're doing, they need some sort of mantra, if you will, to stay mindful. And that was kind of the thing that they would do. And so what was interesting to me was he then wrote this book, Present Moment, Wonderful Moment. And the point was to follow that same sort of equation, if you will, that same formula, and bring it into the present day at that time. And toward the end of the book, he gets sort of like more and more into, I guess, modern stuff, or things that like don't stretch as far back. So the beginning of the book does have things like waking up, washing your face, bathing, getting dressed, right? And different sort of verses to recite to stay in a state of mindfulness while you're doing those things. And then at the very end of the book, he has what I presume at the time were sort of like the most up-to-date technology or things that were sort of like very impactful at the time. And they were the television, so like a mindfulness like verse for watching the television, and one for the telephone. Hey guys. And that was like, you know, I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. But feels very outdated at this point, you know, like he was certainly writing it from the standpoint of like a telephone that you would like pick up off of a receiver, probably like a rotary phone. And the television aspect, I think the point that he was making with the sort of new technology around the television was that there was like cable at this point, and there were like the access to hundreds or thousands maybe, I don't know, of channels, right? And just sort of like the difference between obviously having nothing like television and then having television, but then the added difference of, oh, you don't get 3 channels or 5 channels or whatever. You now get hundreds. So he wrote verses for these things, right? What that was like to be able to make contact with anyone via the phone at any point in time, being able to watch hundreds or thousands of different channels or programs with the click of a remote. And so I was like, oh, what a cool idea to bring to the concept of social media. So I took the essence of what he wrote for the telephone and for the TV, and I made 2 new mindfulness verses that are focused on when you're sort of actually engaging in social media, right? Like you're actually typing something, posting something, replying to somebody, whatever. And that was the one that was based off of the telephone verse. And then the other one is for when you're sort of mindlessly scrolling, or chilling out and scrolling. I don't want to say mindlessly scrolling, but you're scrolling and you're just checking out what's there, and you're just sort of like drawn into that world, and sort of that's just where you are for a period of time. And for that one, I took the concept of the television. They seem to sort of fit the mold to a degree. So I wrote my version on Post-its, so I'm going to read those off. I thought I could be crafty and stick those Post-its to my little rig here and have it work, but it did not. And holy smokes, is it bright. So you don't need to see me, just listen to these verses. So here's the one for actually engaging in social media, right? Like you're actually posting or replying or whatever. Words and images can travel across the world. May my words create mutual understanding and love. May they be as beautiful as gems, as lovely as flowers. So this is something to sort of have in your mind, something to maybe just sit quietly and recite to yourself before you go and start engaging online. And or if you find that you are maybe getting drawn into engaging in a way that you don't necessarily feel good about online, maybe you can pause, take these verses in your mind for 1 time, 3 times, whatever, and then if you choose to, go back and see how that may impact what you choose or choose not to write or engage with. So the second one is, again, not necessarily intending to go on and post something, not necessarily intending to go on and start replying to people, but you are definitely opening up some app and have the intention of sort of like killing time, right? Or scrolling, however you want to think of it. So here is this one. The mind is an app with thousands of images and words to scroll through. I choose a world that is tranquil and calm so that my joy will always be fresh. All right, so I'm going to turn around here, head back into the sun, which won't matter because I'm going to read these verses one more time each, so that if you want to jot them down or whatever, and for whatever reason don't just want to rewind, you can. So the first one, again, the idea here that you're posting, replying, whatever. Words and images can travel across the world. May my words create mutual understanding and love. May they be as beautiful as gems, as lovely as flowers. And then here's when you're scrolling. Hopefully not doom scrolling. It's hard to not link those things together at this point. The mind is an app with thousands of images and words to scroll through. I choose a world that is tranquil and calm so that my joy will always be fresh. And refreshing, keeping near and renewed and fresh is something that's I'm finding to be a common sort of theme with Thich Nhat Hanh. So it's kind of interesting to think of keeping your joy renewed and fresh while you are scrolling, and what that means, how that informs your scrolling or your want not to scroll, whatever it may be. So in any case, I hope that these maybe are something that you want to give a shot. Maybe for some folks they'll work, but in any case, you know, knowing the challenges that social media and that type of engagement can bring might at least be worth a go, right? We got 12 minutes in or so if you walked with me thus far, and if you didn't, that's no problem at all. I certainly still appreciate you watching this far, and as always, I will see you in the next video.